Hello. Today we're going to run through the new soundscape system for our game. That's one of our one-shots that I've got in there for testing. That's green. You can hear that we've got forest sounds currently playing. That whistle of the bird and the rustle of the trees. Oh, and there's a gunshot. That's another of our one-shots. That's playing because we're in this forest area. I'm just going to move out of this forest area. And as we move out, you'll hear that the sounds go quieter as we move out. Still got the wind sound, but that's not part of the forest environment. We are still playing it a little bit. So now, once we're completely out, those one shots will stop. And we're still partially in it. Okay, I think we're out now. Now, as we move closer to these rocks over here, we're going to enter another sound area. You can hear that rumble. It's a little quiet. As we get closer to the rocks, that gets louder. And these rocks are set up for that sound in this area. Obviously not appropriate, but just to demonstrate how the system works. So as you get closer to sounds, they become sound areas, they become louder, and as you move away they get softer, and we can play those one shots. So I'll stop that and show you how all of this works. The way we set this up is I've got an editor tool to help us do it, which makes it very easy. Once Unity responds. Okay, so that's under Tools, Zone of Fun, Soundscape, Terrain Painter. And all we have to do is go into a terrain that we're interested in doing, drag that in, capture the terrain. You'll notice that it sets the texture size appropriately based on the terrain size. And in here we've got 3 colors that we can do for each of these soundscapes. You can have multiple soundscapes for each terrain. I'm going to start with green, and I'll use the polygon area, and that allows us just to click on the area and map out where we want that forest area to be, and then I can just say fill polygon, and you'll see that that's put in a polygon. It's got a bit of a shadow around the edge. I'll just clear that and do it again. So if we increase that fall off distance, and I'll just do this quickly, fill polygon, you'll see that that shadow gets goes a little bit further, and that's what sets the volume. When we're in this darkest area in the middle, that's 100% volume, and as we move out through the shadow area, that's where the drop off happens, the fall off of the sound, and the lighter it gets, the lower the volume will play for that environment sound. We can then choose a different color, blue, and I'll just instead of using the polygon, I will just make that a bit bigger. We can just sort of fill that in. Again, we can color it in. Darker it is, the more loud it is, and I can just make that fall off distance huge and make the brush size a bit bigger, drop this down, and then we can, that didn't work, brush strength, drop that right down. We can put a fall off zone around the outside. So you can either use the polygons, which is probably easier, or if you have something, ever really need to draw something, you can do it that way. We can save this terrain map that we've got here, and that'll be used for the world map when the player wants to see a map of the world. And then here we can click this save button. There's the previous map that we were using, and you can see the colors there, and that's what drives the sounds, this little map that's generated. I'm not going to hit the save button because I've got that other one already set up for testing. But what it does, if this child game object doesn't exist, it'll create it and add that the name of that file into this addressable map where it loads it up at runtime. So that's how you create the sound maps. Then you have to configure the sounds for them. So what I'll do is I'll just bring up the properties so we don't lose it, so we can keep track of how all these things are wired together. On here we've got the map, and you can see this is a list, and as I said before, you've got the red, green, blue, but you can add multiple of these configurations for each terrain, so you're unlimited in how many sound maps you want to create. It'll find the one with the strongest colour and use that for the sound to play. We can set up a default sound, so when we're not in one of those areas that are set up for a sound map, this will default in. And then for the different colours, we can set up a sound configuration for each of those. So if I go to one of these, we'll go to the ocean one first. And here we can see that we've got a sound clip that plays, and there's only one for the ocean. For the forest, if I go back to the forest, we have two sound clips, one for night and one for day. So this will actually change the sounds depending on the time of day. So if I just save that there, and I'll go into this. So this is linked to the green colour, and then we have two sounds that can play. I'll click on the forest night, and in here we've got the sound that actually plays, the volume that sounds, because different clips might be louder than others, so you can adjust the volume for this particular clip so that it balances with the others. And then we've got some checks that determine whether this sound will be picked to play. So we've got two here, a night check and a bad weather check, and I'll go through both of those. So the night check checks the cozy system which we're using for weather to see if it matches the twilight, night or dawn time, and that's when we're going to play the night sounds. The order of these is important, so it's going to check this one first in the sound configuration, the forest night. If that doesn't work, then it'll check the forest day one and see if that can play. If not, it sort of will check any other sound maps configurations that are listed, or then fall back to the default one. So we'll go to the forest day. This, you'll notice that the forest night one is going to look different to the forest day one. So I'll just go back here. This is called a one-shot sound clip, and this has some extra information on it. So again, we have that bad weather check, which, you know, when it's raining or storming, we don't want the bird sounds to be playing, so that'll stop those from playing when we've got loud weather sounds, and that's why we want to block that for both the night and the day ones. Got the clip that we play, but then we have these one shots, and you'll remember that when we were in the forest we had some screams going on and gunshots and explosions. They were just for testing purposes, but you typically have bird sounds going or a branch falling, some of those forest sounds that are random, and we can inject those into the environment just to add some flavour to it. So we've got the number of seconds in between those are playing is between 5 and 15, and then we can set a distance from the player. I've set that up between 5 metres and 15 metres, and that'll just be in a random direction from where the player's standing, and just add that flavour. So there we have it. These are just master audio configs because we're using master audio for our sounds. Any sound that's set up with master audio in our master audio controller, we can play as those one shots. And that's how the soundscape system works. So that should make it very easy for us to create those quickly now that it's built, and do it for each of our terrains.